Good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us for this year's Buntingford Short Film Festival. This is our 7th year now, second in this venue as well. We're really looking forward to showcasing 5 final films this evening, and they're the ones that will be winning some prizes at the end. And we do also have 2 honourable mentions that we'll mention a little bit later on as well. And that's part of our remit to encourage young filmmakers in Hertfordshire and beyond. So we are really looking forward to showcasing the films this evening. And we also are very lucky to be joined by a wonderful panel of judges. So we have, firstly, Luke Kitteridge, who is a local actor. We have Charlie Hughes, who's an ex-submitter of ours from a couple of years ago with a Chaplin-esque silent film called Sick Day. And it's really nice that he's been able to rejoin us for tonight as well. And we have local writer Richard Wood as well. And Mary Cullen, who is one of the judges that unfortunately couldn't be with us this evening, has given us some written feedback as well. So we'll be able to hear from all of our judges and hopefully get some really good feedback for the filmmakers. So without further ado, we have 5 wonderful finalists this evening, and they are The Darkling Fox, directed by Henry Fish. We have Inhale, Exhale, directed by Dan Hanbury. We have Beach, directed by Graham Hughes. We have Soldiers of the Soil, directed by Coralie Ryan. And we also have Polly, directed by Tom Boyd Hall. And the format for this evening will essentially be, if the filmmakers are here, we'll invite them up to introduce their film, we'll watch the film, then we'll hear some feedback from the judges, rinse, run, repeat, have a little interval, and then there'll be some more films after the break. So, without further ado, let's introduce the first film, which is The Darkling Fox, directed by Henry Fish. Now, unfortunately, Henry can't be here this evening, so we are going to just jump straight into the film and provide some feedback afterwards. Enjoy!
What?
Quite a pickle, isn't it?
What?
Quite a pickle indeed.
You're dead.
And yet here I am.
What do you want?
I should ask the same to you.
What?
What do you want by coming here?
To hunt.
To kill? To feel powerful? Well, you look at where all this power has got you. Don't fear. I want to help. I'll give you more of a chance than you gave me.
How?
Look to your side.
What is this?
Do you know what foxes will do to escape a trap?
Someone will come.
Maybe they will. Maybe they won't. And it doesn't look like you've much strength left. Not enough to lift that log. Not enough to crawl away afterwards.
I can't. I won't. I'm not an animal.
That's not what it looks like to me. You're in the green now. And green is the color of rot, of death, of decay. You can't escape the green. So choose. Survive as an animal, or die as a man. Make your choice quick, before the green makes it for you.
You're a stupid dead animal.
And what does that make you?
So a really interesting story-led piece to start this evening. So my thoughts there go to you, Richard, as our writer on the panel this evening. What did you think about the Darkling Fox?
It was definitely, like you say, story-led, but the thing for me was the atmosphere of it, more than anything else, because you could see the anguish, that the acting was really good. I think it was the acting told the story more than the dialogue did. It fell down a bit because it's actually going to be easier to chop through the tree with that knife than it would be your own limb. It would take longer, granted, but it's less intrusive. And like I say, in terms of there's a couple of things that really struck me more in the story, and that was the colour palette of the entire thing. The light, the foliage, it was just, and even the cold breath coming off. I mean, whatever choices they made to actually choose to film at that time of day in that light, brilliant, really good.
Charlie, what did you think about it?
Yeah, I was really impressed actually. I think this is a really good example of what I think sort of makes some of the best short films, which is focusing on a very small situation, a small passage of time, and sort of exploiting that both story-wise and sort of cinematically. And yeah, I agree, it was very, very atmospheric, and especially the sound design, I thought played a massive part. And I think sort of reminds us that sound is half of the medium. And so I thought it was really, really impressive. And yeah, the cinematography was fantastic. Especially, I love that final image of the knife dripping with blood wedged onto the log at the end, which tells you everything you need to know. You don't actually need to show him cutting through the leg. Just that one image is very powerfully conveys that. Yeah, if I had any constructive feedback, I'd say maybe dial down on the dialogue a little bit. I think maybe towards the middle, it was more dialogue driven, and maybe there could be more action to convey what was going on. But yeah, I was very, very impressed. Very, very impressed.
And Luke, is there anything that you'd like to add?
So I'm actually, interestingly, I can understand that point about the dialogue. However, I enjoyed the dialogue that was there. So I'm not sure that I would necessarily cut any of the dialogue per se, purely just because the performance of that, like the way in which the tone of the vocal performance and sort of obviously edited in post-production, but was fantastic. And so there's lots of that that I would definitely keep. Beyond that, I also I just found it so moving in many ways, just to watch a man sort of become like the animal that he has tried to capture and actually did kill, in a sense. It's so interesting to sort of see things change and to see people become something else. I think most importantly though, with this piece, the thing that sort of stood out so much on my first watch, and actually you can see it here in this space, because just the way in which it sort of lit up the room, and it became like the room became flooded with the colour of the film, and that is, I think, part of why the film is just felt so good and so beautifully atmospheric.
Thank you. And I'll summarise. Mary, as I said, was one of our judges that couldn't be with us this evening. She said all manner of things that's going on, but she reiterated exactly the points that you made, especially in the fact that you can almost empathise with the fox, and especially the colour grading that Richard mentioned as well. And we'll hear from her comments a little bit more fully in some of the other films. But for now, let's move on to our second film for this evening, which is Inhale, Exhale, directed by Dan Hanbury. And we're really pleased to have Dan with us this evening, and he's going to introduce his film.
I made this film in my final year of uni, and it quickly, I kind of rambled the idea into a voice note after spending way too much time on my phone one night, and it quickly became a passion project, and I put all my energy into the actual filmmaking side of my course. I didn't want to write essays, I'm sick of it, so I just put loads of passion into just the film itself. It's kind of all I really cared about in my final year. And yeah, it was a really great crew, and had a great time. It's kind of just, film just kind of, it's an ode to kind of setting your sights onto the present and life as you live it, and so life as you maybe once lived it, and putting your kind of best foot forward, fixating on what you have around you right now, and maybe not the person you once were, even if you do feel lost, and even if it's more comfortable to kind of live in the past, kind of got to move on. So yeah, enjoy.
Salt on my tongue, in the air, foam and water and salt twisting together. Would it ever stay there, where it is, moving, retracting, tied in, tied out, still stand, still air, still me missing it? The salt taste and the windbreak, my son's squinting eyes and wet hair. It all happens in front of it. It all happens to you, really. I could almost reach my hands out and know that the water was just there, a blink away with just lines of salt between us. My sweet childhood turned into plagued adolescence. These old memories are getting more troubled now. I couldn't face reality. Not even if I wanted to.
Hiya, is this Murray?
How did you get this number?
I heard you're the one to go to.
How many files?
Just the one.
Right, I'm gonna do same day collection, but it's cash only.
But that's fine with...
Fine. You have the next 2 minutes to describe your memory in as much detail as possible. Don't mumble. No verbal dithering. No superfluous adjectives. Be succinct.
I remember it so vividly, almost as if it wasn't real. The world is upside down, the sky beams purple, the water black as night.
We're walking below the bridge, our footsteps hiding in the shakes and rattles of concrete. We talk about everything and nothing. Our words suspend in the air around us. We laugh, we cry, as the world around us shifts and warps.
I'm not sure you're quite getting this.
As we reach the rocks, we look out at the water, and suddenly it rises up and engulfs him from next to me, pulling him under. And then he's gone, disappearing into the darkness as if he'd never been there at all. I'm standing under the bridge, alone, watching as the world returns to its normal state. The sky's blue again, the water calm, and the concrete rattles above me.
Murray! Murray! Murray, come back to us! We miss you. I had to let you know somehow. I couldn't let you down. Please answer me. Murray! Please, Murray, you're scaring me, please. I'm worried about you, we all are.
When there's such a high focus on a certain thing, that makes up a lot of it. So
Murray? You're coming with me.
Yeah, I also just feel like when oh yeah, when you have to like circle around the whole.
Yeah, exactly. But it hasn't been easy.
It just feels like it's been so long.
We all still talk about you, reminisce. I've moved too far.
I think maybe I'm ready to catch up to it. And I think I'd like to try.
I think Dan introduced it perfectly, actually. A really interesting and unique concept, executed really, really well. So for this time, I think we'll start off with Mary's feedback. So I'm going to read it, because Mary, unfortunately, said couldn't be here, but she's given us a printout of her comments, and I thought that'd be a really nice one to start. So she said, this group have really smashed it out of the park with interesting concepts. Wow. I love the idea of being able to breathe in a memory and relive it. but the story following a character who now doesn't know how to tackle the present moment is such a great idea. The contrast of settings left me feeling like I had a full breath of Murray's memories and present. The use of the dark setting with bright, colourful light emanating from his memories in his bedroom contrasted with the light, airy outdoors as he steps back into reality. You really do take a breath as he does. I would have really liked to have seen some brighter shots during the film montage of his memories with his friends to again give that light, airy feeling. Otherwise, a really excellent film. Well done. And we'll move straight to... Would you like to start this one?
Yeah, well, firstly, I really, really liked it, so very well done. I thought it was very evocative. It really gets across the sort of the idea that you can touch, you can taste, you can smell a memory, and I really like that. It reminds me a lot of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, but in the way that it juggles the non-linear narrative, and I think you do that very well. I think sort of the way you experiment with form as well, with the memories in the old camera style. I think that's a really nice way of indicating what is memory and what is reality, I suppose. Yeah, my only other comment would be I think I would have liked to see Murray take a more sort of active role in sort of bringing himself to the present, because I felt like it was more Laura who sort of brought that out of him. So I think maybe if it was a mix of both him and Laura, I would have liked to see that a bit more. But otherwise, very well done. I really liked it. So.
How about you, Luke?
Yeah. As a film, it's sort of got a quality of nostalgia to it itself, in a sense, and sort of like the dangers of like in a sense losing yourself within nostalgia and memory, and seeing these sort of things as, in a sense, like that sort of like drug metaphor for them was very sort of interesting and sort of also very evocative, because I think quite often we can sort of get lost in our own pasts and things like that. So I think that was sort of very useful. And actually, I really liked the way in which like there's sort of some subtle color grading things, just with the way in which his sort of and sort of the darkness in the beginning of that same jacket sort of becomes much more bright and colourful just by switching by grading it ever so slightly differently, and just sort of those sort of small touches sort of lead to a sort of much better cohesive whole as well. I think that's something which I really enjoyed and sort of noticed this time around a lot. Yeah, no, I think it was very interesting. I don't necessarily agree that it needs to be the main character who brings himself out of it. I think, because quite often we do need a little bit of a kick from someone, from a friend or something. I think that sort of just, we sometimes need to be pushed, and need to be pushed kind of harder than I think we necessarily want to be, and sort of things like that. So I sort of feel like that's, I don't necessarily agree with that. But yeah, no, I think it would have made a slightly different film, and sort of slightly different feel. But no, a very evocative film, and a very sort of, one that actually, in a sense, I feel like we should all ponder over ourselves, and maybe sort of, think that maybe we'll live in the moment a bit more ourselves.
I think that really does summarise film in general, that some people will absolutely love one type of film and others will completely pass it by, and I think that's the joy of having a really diverse panel this evening as well. Dan, is there anything else that you'd like to say?
That's everything. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well done. Moving on to our third film this evening, and this is Beached, which is directed by Graham Hughes, and Graham is available to join us this evening and is going to come up and introduce his film.
Hello? 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 Hello?
Enter code.
What code? What do you want, Mum?
Oh, hello to you too. How's it going?
I'm fine.
How's job hunting going?
Well, what are you starting that again now for?
I'm just worried about how...
Worried about what? Do you think I can look after myself?
No, Simon, I'm just worried about you.
You're starting to get my nerves now, Mum. Constantly reminding me I'm a failure and I can't get myself a job. Oh, thanks for the shopping, by the way. I really appreciate your charity. You don't want to stay out of my business, please.
Simon, I'll speak later. Maybe when you can be a bit more appreciative.
But someone please help me!
You don't need help, Simon.
You what?
Let me just help you.
I can do it myself.
If you just listen to me.
I do not need your help.
All I'm saying is that I had to look at vacancies online.
I can get a job myself, you know.
I know, I'm just trying to help.
You're trying to rub it in. Because you've got a job. And you think you're better than me.
But Simon,
But
please.
you're the money maker now.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm trying to help.
Why don't you just get out?
Simon, that is not what I'm saying.
Just get out!
You're such a fucking twat, Simon. Do you know that? Everyone said this about you, and I don't even know why. I don't know why I bother anymore.
Yeah, neither do I.
Enter code.
Shut up!
Enter code.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
You just don't see it, Simon.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
another really interesting and brilliant piece as well. So we'll jump straight in with the judges' feedback, and this time, Charlie, would you like to start us off?
I really liked it. I thought it was sort of very efficient filmmaking as well. Because often on student films they can sort of get quite unwieldy, but you know, there was no fat on that film whatsoever, and every shot told me something about him or something about the narrative, and I was really impressed by that. I really like the intercutting between you know, the past and the present, and the way that him trapped in that well, it seems abandoned warehouse. I thought that was really smart, and I really like the sort of kick in the teeth ending of you know, you see the code on the back. I would say the one thing that I'm sort of I sort of begging to see throughout, and you don't end up seeing, is what would actually happen if he put the code in. What would actually happen? And I get that that's not the point. The point is him not seeing what's in front of him. But I think that dramatic device does sort of make me feel a little bit unsatisfied at the end, just because I sort of want to know what would have happened if he had put the code in. But yeah, well done, really well done. It was very impressive.
Richard, let's head to you next.
Yeah, it's interesting you should say that, because a short story, whether it's cinematic or that, should have a question for you at the end. Yeah. Oh my God, what happens next? Because if it doesn't do that, it's a complete story, not a short story. Yeah, really, because that's the trick of a short story. What happens next? And you did that. The first time I watched it, I saw the shot of that back and I laughed out loud. Absolutely nailed that. And it doesn't. But what I was going to talk about mostly was how realistic that was. And what Charlie was saying about the fact that it was intercut was really good, because the sound matched that too. The fact that, yeah, you could be stuck in that warehouse and yet still hear some building work going on outside. Stuff like that. So you're not alone, just nobody knows you're there. And it didn't matter whether he really was trapped or that whole room was just in his imagination. Only thing, and it takes me back to chopping the tree up, yeah, rather than your leg. When people punch things, they do it once because it really hurts afterwards, and then they kick it, yeah, because you've got shoes on. You've always got shoes on, and I've seen this time and time again, yeah. People will punch things, no, and then want to kick the hell out of it. It's just, that was the only thing I changed. Everything else, yeah, really good. Thanks. Oh, and the acting, you meanie.
There we go. Luke.
Yeah, actually, I think just on a performance point, I will say, whilst I really loved a lot of it, I think it's a gargantuan task to try to sort of convey history and a sort of relationship history in a short film. I think that's something that's really kind of difficult to do, and that's something I felt like could be improved a little bit. There's just like there's certain relaxedness and a fluidity of movement you have with, even in an argument with people you know, and I feel like that was a little bit, just ever so slightly it felt a little bit sort of staged, or sort of like I felt like I could see the blocking a little bit too much for my liking. But other than that, I think it's really good. A really well told story, and I think the fact that like all he needed was someone who could actually read the numbers on his back for him. Like when throughout the rest of the film he was refusing help out completely, I think was an absolutely genius way of ending it. Yeah, so that's my points there.
Fantastic. And Mary says as well, such a fascinating concept for this video. She loved the split setting between the warehouse and Simon's previous life. It really gave you an insight into the character of Simon and his lack of likability. Visually, she really enjoyed the use of depth, be it beer bottles in the foreground of a shot or the perspective of Simon looking down towards his mum on the phone. The use of angles added a sense that you knew where his priorities were. The sounds added a richness to the piece. Feeling the louder moments of impact really helped heighten the piece. I would have liked to have seen some B-roll to add a little more context and texture to the setting. But overall, again, a really wonderful film. I'm sure we'll definitely be looking out for Beach 2 to see what Simon is famous for. Well done again. Is there anything else you'd like to say? No. Perfect. So, on to film number 4, and we have Soldiers of the Soil by Coralie Ryan. And unfortunately, Coralie Ryan couldn't be here this evening as well. But we will jump in straight with the film. Enjoy.
Porque todos os que vão à guerra, a mentalidade muda, a mentalidade. E tem coisas que não pode esquecer. E mesmo que tenta esquecer, não pode. O meu nome é Luís de Gouveia Pestanrado. Eu tenho 75 anos. Eu sou da Ilha de Madeira. A minha infância, muito triste. Portugal is my place. And isso está sempre no meu coração. Venho casar à Inglaterra porque a minha namorada estava cá. Onde eu gostava de morar no mundo, aqui na Inglaterra. Agora, a minha família está toda aqui, está os meus filhos, está a minha filha, está netos, está tudo aqui. Portugal não tem ninguém senão uma irmã mais velha, 92 anos. Estou no abortamento há 30 anos. O que é que me atraiu para uma vida no abortamento? A doença. O significado da minha vida é viver, trabalhar bastante e nada de dinheiro. Má mentalidade é esse foguete, má pasta. Foi para lá em 69, porque foi obrigado. Nós lá somos obrigados. We have to go. A lot of things there. E não gosto de me lembrar nem de falar. Porque perdi muitos friends, muitos amigos lá e muitos estão entravados. Eu tive 4 anos lá. E a minha companhia tinha 126 homens. Quando cheguei lá, e 3 meses depois tinha 82. O resto tinha morrido todo. Ainda tenho um amigo que perdeu as 2 pernas, os 2 braços. Dói quando você fala neles, ou se acorda, se lembra deles. Porque todos os que vão à guerra, a mentalidade muda, a mentalidade. E tem coisas que não pode esquecer. E mesmo que tenta esquecer, não pode. Na pesca, em Dover. Hoje tem que ter, mais de um ano aí comigo à pesca. A gente dizia muita coisa e falava-se muita gente. Sempre discutia comigo. Sabe o que eu discutia? Era sempre, ele ia dizer uma coisa e eles, não. quando eu estive no hospital, todos os dias ele lá me ver. Eu tenho que ter uma conversação com ele, porque no hospital uma visita é muito boa. E a mulher também, quando ele não ia, a mulher ia. Às vezes a filha ia, às vezes... Tive muitas visitas no hospital. Porque eu tive na máquina muito tempo. E depois, porque tenho a consideração, o meu avô disse-me uma vez, Neto, a gente para conhecer um amigo é no hospital ou na cadeia. E é verdade. Isso é verdade.
Algumas palavras para os nossos espectadores que esperam com tanta expectativa o que nos poderá dizer.
Eu vi nas lágrimas dos meus soldados, num sorriso de satisfação, numas expressões de rosto, onde havia lágrimas e sentimento, o prazer extraordinário do objetivo conquistado.
Another really brilliant film, and it's nice to see a documentary as well, considering the first three have been dramas as well. So let's start off this time with Luke. What would you like to say about that film?
Yeah, it's. I mean, yeah. Sorry, I need to collect myself a little bit because I see it as what it is. It's sort of as a sort of one man's recollection of sort of his friends and sort of war. I think it's very difficult. It's going to be so difficult to judge later on this one because it just feels so personal, and judging this kind of stuff is sort of a very sort of personal story. I think the editing works really, really well mostly. Just sort of those sort of intercuts sort of upgrade sort of do help tell that story really well. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you, Luke. We'll go next to Mary. And Mary said, the film was incredible. The story of Lewis has been so perfectly captured, giving a man with such an interesting history a space to talk about his life, shedding light on a story that otherwise would have gone unheard. She loved the 2-camera setup for the interview. It gives visual variety to the video, along with the use of perfectly composed B-roll footage, detailed shots and archival material. The choice to have the video in black and white works perfectly, blending seamlessly with the archival content, reminding the audience that whilst the conflict was a while ago, it still remains in the present. She would have loved to have seen a full body shot of Lewis while sat in the interview chair, with the camera slowly moving further away, just to give that wider perspective of that angle. But all in all, a really beautiful film that they should be proud of. So let's move now to Richard. What would you like to say?
I was moved by that. More than I have with the stories, which was that we've seen earlier, which I found really interesting because Mary was saying it was a 2-camera setup. To me, that felt like there was 3 or 4 in the cut. That cutting between different angles of his face, yeah, breathtaking. I like the callbacks in it. The fact that you started with him talking about it, with him saying, this messes with my mind, and he's more or less finishing with it's messing with his mind. didn't quite get the flag bit at the end. I'm not quite sure why there was flag waving going on. Yeah, the fishing story, the advice from his grandfather. Excellent start, but it was really lovely, but it was a tiny bit out of context. But overall, I was just blown away by it. Really good.
Thank you. And Charlie, what would you like to finish up with?
I agree with all the previous points. I mean, what an amazing subject. And it's a shame Coralie isn't here because I have a lot of questions. I thought starting with establishing him in his allotment, doing what he does in the present day, was a really nice lead in. So we're already engaged in him as a character before we hear his story. I thought it was very smart, the intercutting with the archival footage. I think because it is essentially a talking heads interview, but cinematically it's very, very engaging, which is sort of rare to see with those kinds of documentaries. On a sort of very, very minor level, it would be nice to see a source for the archive material. I didn't spot one in the credits. I might be wrong. So I would like to know where that was from, and also maybe some more specific context for what exactly was I watching when I was seeing some of that footage. It does cover a lot for the length of documentary it is. And maybe it's a personal thing, but perhaps it would have been even stronger if it maybe just sort of focused on one of the elements a bit more, like his relationship with Agostino potentially. But considering what it managed to cover was very impressive given the time. What an amazing subject. Really, really amazing.
Thank you everyone for your comments, and well done again, Coralie. Moving on to the final of our finalists this evening, we have Polly, directed by Tom Boyd Hall. Unfortunately, Tom was going to be here this evening, but he's had a little last-minute slip-up, which meant he couldn't make it. So we will make sure, obviously, that his feedback gets to him as well. And we hope you enjoyed the last of our finalists. And after this, we will have a short break before seeing our Honourable Mentions and last year's winner. Enjoy. and again, a really different film to finish off those that are in the finals this evening. Let's start off this time with Richard. What did you think about that film?
That's a good short story. That's a good short film. If I was going to pick up anything, and I don't know where it's because I was right next to the speaker, but some of the sound sounded harsh, as in it wasn't recorded on set. It didn't, the dropping of plates didn't sound like it was dropped in that room. It's a really small point. Rest of it, cracking. Yeah, really, really good. I mean, it struck me, what decisions would I have been making in that situation? And if it engages you like that, then that's a proper story. Yeah.
Fantastic. Let's move down the line. Let's go to Charlie.
Yeah, I mean, very nihilistic film to end on. Yeah, I really like that one. And the message I get from that is sort of don't enforce your views onto other people, which I think is a really interesting concept, and it's not the sort of thing that would usually be dealt with in sort of short films. So I think it's a really interesting angle, quite refreshing to see a film that is that unique. And I really like the ending. I thought perhaps the bit with the dog could have felt a bit more dramatic, in the sense that I heard the dog bark, and then it cut to black, and then I heard her kill the dog. But I felt maybe the dog could have felt more like a threat. I also feel like there was a lot of music throughout and a lot of jump cuts, which for me sort of maybe eased the tension off a little bit when I really wanted it, which is when she sort of she first goes into the house. I want it to be quiet. I want to, feel the danger there. But I think because it felt more like an extended montage, that sort of dampened that down a little bit for me. But other than that, really entertaining, really enjoyable.
Perfect. And Luke, what did you think?
No, I don't know if I agree with the film on its sort of stance of on its sort of stance on activism in general. But that doesn't mean I didn't like it. It's one of those weird films where I kind of I really enjoyed sort of tension that sort of was kind of built throughout the film, and the way in which it was structured as this sort of was really good. I think, minor point, I would have liked to see how she got into that house, because it very clearly wasn't hers. So she wouldn't have been using the door. But other than that, I think I really enjoyed everything. I think I really believed the performance in that. That sort of performance was sort of really believable and sort of really rather real, considering the sort of absurdity of everything, of that breaking and entering and sort of destroying property and whatever. I think I think if I was narrowing in on things that I would possibly change, literally I think just shortening the amount of space or the amount of time we spent in sort of black. And I know that sort of probably is true to life, in that that's probably the amount of time it would have taken. It's not how it would. It's not how it feels wrong, because it feels like it was off. We were off it for too long. Also, I know it's a short film; it doesn't have the not necessarily got this sort of kind of levels of budget, but showing the dog and being a bit more gnarly might have been quite interesting for me, and sort of is more towards my tastes. But no, I really enjoyed it as a film, and I think I think it sort of tells its story really well. I think that's that. Really tells its story really well.
Thank you. We'll finish with Mary's comments. And again, she echoes quite a lot of what these guys have said here as well, especially with the unexpected ending and the irony pointing towards that becoming so obvious once you know what it is. And the lack of speaking, again, also made that a little bit more poignant as well. She said that the sound effects add such a rich texture, and the only noises that the main character makes are animalistic, which I think is such an excellent choice. The imagery is incredibly strong, with a particular eye for the transitions, especially from the dropping of the plates to the leaflets, and the other movements of shots added a real piece to the piece. But selfishly, she would have liked to have seen Polly's owners confronting their pet killer and watching that interaction unfold, but I think there's probably a whole nother film. So that concludes the 5 finalists for this evening. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a very short break, and that's going to be for 5 or 10 minutes. Please do recharge your glasses. We've got plenty available, and we will be showing last year's winner and our 2 honourable mention films after the break. And if you are hungry for more short films after this evening, tomorrow night via YouTube, and if you scan that link, you'll get to it. We have our international awards, which is from students all over the world. So very different taste this evening. If you are looking for more, please do scan that as well. Enjoy the break. We'll be back in 5 or 10 minutes. Thank you. So before we move on to the honourable mentions and last year's winner, we just wanted to shine a big light on the sponsors that make tonight's event possible and tomorrow night's event as well. We've got 6 really amazing sponsors that have done so much for us this year. So we've got Evolving Spaces, which is an office fit-out service based in Buntingford. We've got Yellow Technology, who are an AV consultancy based near Saffron Walden. We've got HD Print, who are with us this evening as well. Who've printed all of the incredible banners and posters that you might have seen around the town. We've got Content by Jem, who is also working amazingly behind the bar this evening as well, who is a LinkedIn account management and content creation service. We've got our good old friends, Buntingford Film Club, who do pop-up cinema events in the town every month. I think they've got 1 more left, which is on the first Saturday in June, so keep your eyes out for that one as well. That's what we like to hear. Tickets available already. You can have this job next year if you like. No, I'm joking. Absolutely. And lastly, we've also got the Old George Pottery Studio, which was based in Puckeridge. And on a slightly more sombre note, unfortunately Trevor, who was the owner of the Old George, passed away in December of last year after a really short battle with an illness, and he supported us for a couple of years as a sponsor and was a real push for the creative arts. So tonight we really do want to dedicate tonight's event to Trevor and in his legacy as well.
Yeah.
So a round of applause for Trevor. So, what we would also like to do is sort of keep the baton running, if you like. So last year we were here again. Wrong way around. We were here last year, where we were all sat now, and we enjoyed again another range of really interesting locally produced films. And the winner last year was a film called Tamandua, which was by this wonderful team of students from the University of Hertfordshire, just based over in Hatfield. And we're going to show that for you now, just purely for your enjoyment. So.
The fields of Brazil are home to many fascinating creatures, but none quite as resourceful as the lesser anteater, also known as the Tamandua. And he's just found a snack. The Tamandua uses their claws to tear away at anthills to create openings for their sticky barbed tongues to explore in search of food. But this one's found another way. Truly nature's miracle.
So now moving on to the final 2 films this evening. So we have honourable mentions. As a festival, obviously we've grown quite a lot over the last few years, both locally and internationally. And part of that, we recognised the fact that we still wanted to really support students of local schools specifically, and specifically really young filmmakers. So I think Zach actually this year is 15, and we've also got the students of Haileybury, directed by Matthew Muir, who are 16, 17, absolutely. So as part of our remit to sort of encourage young filmmaking, these are the 2 awards from the committee. So that's myself, Paul, Jill, Ollie and Suz. We really felt that it was important to shine a light on local schools and what they're doing that doesn't necessarily get seen by the public as well. So we will show both of these two films. We're going to start off with A Taste of Tradition, and Zach does apologise that he couldn't make it this evening. Again, last minute things have come up, but please do enjoy A Taste of Tradition.
দাদু আপনার রান্না খেলে গেছেন?
আমরা রান্না ভালো করতাম, আমরা সকলে করতাম নিজে, আমরা বইনে মিললে আমার দাদাই বাজার আনিয়া দিতা, আমরা চুলা বানাইয়া দিতা, আমার দাদাই বানাইয়া দিতা, কইটা সকলে গ্রামের বাচ্চাই সকলে খাবাইতাম রান্ধিয়া, সেউ আনতা লাখড়ি, সেউ গর্তনে আনতা চাউল, সেউর গর্তনে আনতা তেল, এটা যেমন সবে দিতা হাত বায়াক গর্তনে, ওই যে যেমন এটা সুন্দর লাগি আনতা সকলে মিলিয়া, আমরা বইয়া শুয়োটা বইয়া খাইতাম। কতটা করছি আমরা, এটা করছি না তো, আমরা লেখাপড়া করছি না, এই লেখাপড়ার দিতে মনে আসিল না, আমরা খুব খেয়েছিলা খাইতাম, রান্তাম।
দাদু আমি দেখছি সফর সমসা ফিতা সব
সমস্ত ওখান কিনতে মিলে দাদা, ওখান ইজি মানুষে কিনে আইনা খাওয়াটা, আর বানানি মানুষে মনে করে খুব কঠিন, আসলে বানাইতে গেলে অত কঠিন লাগে না কি, তবুও মানুষের লাগে অহনকুল লাগে আর কি একটু কঠিন বানানি। এই দেশের মানুষ তো গড়ের বারে কাম করতো, বারে কেউ তো বারেও কাম করে, গড়েও রান্না বাড়া করে, কুকিনের কাম রান্ধতো বাড়তো, খাওয়াইতো, বাচ্চা কাচ্চার খাওয়াইতো, এটাও চিন্তা করে মানুষে, এর লাগে ইজি কিনে না খাওয়া। ওখানে কিনে আনাটো মনে করে বালা যে এটা মজার কথা আছে না আছে, এটার চিন্তা নাই, আমরা ইজি খাওয়াটা বড় জিনিস। এক জিনিস হলে এই গেল সপ্তাহ লইয়া আইল, মাছ মাংস সকল ফিটা চিরা যা আছে সকল তো ফিন্না লইয়া আইল শেষ, ওখানেও তো বালা। তা আমরা জমানাতে আমরা খাইছি, মানে ইয়েও খাইছি, আমরা কিনবার চিন্তা করছি না, আর কিনার সময় আসিল না, ওখানকার জমানাত সকল তো কিনতে মিলে মাছাই না খায় ইজি, কঠিন হয়ে গেছে বানানি।
What message would you give to your grandchildren and your future generations?
আমি চাইমু তোমরা এই কালচারটা আড়াই চাই না, দইটা রাখো, আরও মানুষের আমি কইমু ওখান দইটা রাখবার লাগে কালচারটা, এটা মানে খানি যে কথা নাই, সব জিনিস ওইখানে মাঝে আছে, মায়া মমতা সব তাইয়ের মাঝে সব তো আছে, তোমরা সবে মিলে থাকো, ওখানে আমরা চেষ্টা করতাম, আমরা সমাজে আমরা দইটা রাখতাম।
Yeah, I think it's really surprising that's being made by a 15-year-old. Both in terms of filmmaking, technically the filmmaking ability is very, very strong, and it just feels like a very mature film. It allows plenty of breathing space. The framing is very professional, and I think it does something really nice in sort of focusing on something very specific to what it seems the filmmaker's culture. And using that to explore a wider message. I think it's a really gentle, really sweet film, and yeah, very, very mature film. So it's really surprising to hear that it's made by a 15-year-old, and it's really excited to see what they make next.
Absolutely, and I think that makes it that bit a little bit more impressive actually as well. So thank you, Charlie, for that really lovely comments there, and well done again, Zach. So the second to tonight's Honourable Mentions is Breaded Chicken Chateau, directed by Matty Muir of Haileybury. Unfortunately, Matty couldn't be with us this evening, but their teacher, Mark Elias, is able to join us and is going to say a few words about the film.
Hello everyone. I'm not trying to pass myself out as a student. So the film was directed mostly, written, shot by Matty Muir, the other lower six and upper six students, essentially every Wednesday afternoon they had a couple of hours where they literally learned some filmmaking skills. And then after Christmas they put together a short film that we really hope you guys enjoy. So.
Anglia, a nemzet elsöprő dombok, külön személyiségek és szomjas országa. Számos hagyományuk van, mint nagy oktatási intézmények története, amelyekből tudósok, filozófusok és költők születnek, és örökre megváltoztatják a világot. És ez vezet el minket Philhez és Clementinhez. Valójában soha nem hallana Phil, hogy Clementine inkább a Clementines III nevét használja, nem mintha bárki is így szólítaná.
How can you eat that? It sums you up completely, doesn't it? Your life's grey and it's passing you by. You don't even care about the fact that Hepburn just humiliated us.
Humiliated us? He just said lunch is over, go to class.
Can't you see what he's trying to do? Oh, I hate that guy.
I didn't think much of it.
Hepburn sat in his office right now, probably laughing himself hoarse. Practically wetting himself over how he made us look. That's why we're not going to be told what to do.
Yeah.
We're not going to sit around like this.
Yeah. What?
We're going to the breaded chicken chateau, the finest fast food chicken shack.
That would be great.
Now, we're going now.
Well, you know we can't.
We have a free period.
Well, you can't leave campus. Instant detention.
Nothing's going to happen. We just go through chapel, past music, past the library, through the archway, chicken chateau all day, baby.
It's just past 2 now, and we have late registration at 3:15. Besides, Lily said she'd meet me by the line of trees at 3:20.
She said she'd meet up with you.
Well, she's sort of vague, a bit aloof and cool, but yeah.
She spoke to you.
We communicated.
2 things. 1, I don't have time for this. And 2, how could you not know if she agreed to meet?
Well, I didn't want to seem desperate.
2 part B, girls like her don't speak to boys like you. Sorry, that was harsh. I'll buy you a BCC burger to make it up to you. Look, we both said things. Shots are fired from both parties. But we can't forget who the real enemy here is.
The Taliban?
The teachers like Hepburn.
Think I might get something to eat.
Dance on parties, blazing up these crazy neighborhoods. New York City gritty, making sure it's understood. We gotta
What's he doing here?
You're telling me he's not mocking us? We just wanted some breaded chicken.
It's only breaded chicken. We can come back tomorrow. Look, let's go.
No, not today. Not after I gave you the cold hard fact that Lily will never want to associate with you. I have to get you that BCC burger if it's the last thing I do alive.
Alive?
Look, it's about confidence. It's about purpose. If we walk straight up to Hepburn, he's not going to do a damn thing.
That's not
going... a damn thing.
Breath.
Two BCC burgers, please. Go!
Stephen, sorry to do this. I do need you to cover my detention. My dichotomy's not any better. I'll do yours next week if that's okay, but it's end before today. Alright, cheers, bye.
We did it.
I can't believe it.
You nearly ruined it, but we did it.
No, we got to get back in 10 minutes, because otherwise we're going to get...
Detention. Miss, we haven't been anywhere. Detention.
What?
That was Lily. I thought she was going to meet me.
I'm sure she was, kid. Sure.
Kid? We're in the same year.
Okay, kid. Okay.
I'm literally 6 months older than...
És bár normális esetben soha nem hallanál Willről vagy Clementinusról, biztos lehetsz benne, hogy létezne. Nem sokan, de léteznek. És azt hiszem, mindannyian jobban járunk velük.
A nice, funny film to end on, I think, after some quite serious ones this evening as well. And really nice to see where the filmmakers have learnt over the course of their course. So, Charlie, again, we're going to invite you back again to deliver a little bit of feedback on breaded chicken at Chateau.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed that. Was the guy who played Mr. Hepburn? Was he a teacher or is he an actor?
He's a real actor.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
Yeah,
I loved him. Yeah, he's star of the show. Yeah, even I mean, I thought the acting was very good throughout. Actually, I mean, the way that the two leads bounced off each other was very impressive, and even the dialogue felt very realistic to how people do talk to each other in school, which is pretty hard to nail that. Yeah, I thought it was really funny. I thought the editing played a massive part in achieving that actually. So I was really impressed by that. And it's really charming seeing a film that has been made by a group of friends at school, and it has that charm to it. It feels like it's been made by the people you're watching, and that's really nice to watch. I was a bit baffled by the sort of intro and outro part. I was really confused what was going on there, but other than that, I really enjoyed it. So yeah, loved it.
So that means we have now seen 8 absolutely brilliant, different, unique films, and I'm sure everyone is very eager to learn about this thing just up here, who has won this evening. So the local award was whittled down originally from 40 or so entries, down to the 5 that you watched in the first half this evening, and over the course of the break, the judges have been arguing, discussing, really trying to sort of pick apart the films to decide on the 3 winners this evening. And the 3 winners will receive some cash prizes. So third place is £25, second place is £50, and first place is £100. And that again is just a way of saying, keep going, please keep doing what you're doing. So without further ado, in third place this evening is Beached by Graham Hughes. Congratulations. In second place was Joyce's favourite documentary. It was Soldiers of the Soil by Coralie Ryan. And tonight's winner was the very first film that we saw tonight, which was The Darkling Fox by Henry Fish. So congratulations, Henry. So there we had 3 really interesting films, and I think 3 really worthy winners within that as well. And that's not to say by any means that any of the films that we've seen this evening were less good or anything like that. They're all incredible in their own right, and it's really nice to be able to celebrate 3 with prizes as well. So that leaves me with just a few thank yous left to say before we leave you for another year, let you go home and hopefully enjoy our international awards tomorrow night, is a few thank yous. So firstly, a huge thank you to everyone that helped set up this evening. So we've got Paul, who's done an incredible job on the technical side of things. We've got Jill and Gemma, who've done an excellent work in the bar. We've got Rhiannon, who helped set up the chairs and the projector and the screen. And we also do need to say a huge thank you to our judges for this evening. So we had Luke, we had Charlie, we had Richard, and we did also have Mary in a sort of digital paper context as well. So, just a very small thank you from us for each of the judges for all of their incredible comments this evening. We couldn't do it without. Now the thing is, they've been watching these sit here all night, probably wondering who it's for. So there we go. Another round of applause, please. And very finally, I think there needs to be a huge thank you to the team that have worked tirelessly behind the scenes. Hundreds upon hundreds of volunteers' hours go into watching and reviewing the films and putting together what you see this evening and what you'll see tomorrow night as well. So the committee for Buntingford Shorts is myself, Jake Andrews, Paul Hudson on the tech, Jill Alderton, who again you saw behind the bar. We've also got Ollie Wilson, one of our key reviewers, and Suz Keith, who's now based outside of Buntingford, but has continued to support us through reviewing the international films as well. So a huge thank you to everybody that's been a part of this. It's been a huge amount of work, and it's been really positive to showcase some amazing films tonight. So that is it for this evening. That's it for the local awards for 2024. Thank you so much to everyone for joining us. And again, if you are hungry for more films, there's your QR code. Please do join us tomorrow evening. It will be available on demand as well. And again, we've got 6 very different films to showcase at our international awards. But for now, thank you and good night.